Okay, guys, I want to welcome everybody. It's Bernard Nomberg with the Nomberg Law Firm in Birmingham, of course. And as we do from time to time, hot topics that deal with employers, employees, independent contractors, most notably work comp and disability, I try to bring to the audience so that the general public, whoever is on our platforms, can learn a little bit. Well, my guest today is Chris Gronkowski, NFL vet, part of the famed Gronkowski Brothers, has so many different platforms, including Gronked Up podcast, and does so much interaction with his TikTok account about answering questions from fans about what life is like on the inside of being an NFL player. And that's what led me to getting in touch with Chris. And we're going to pick up some questions about work comp. And I want to welcome you, Chris, and I appreciate you making some time.
Hey, thanks so much for having me today.
Oh, absolutely. Now, where do we find you today? Are you in your studios? Where are you today?
Oh, man. So, yeah, I'm in my upstairs studio of my house. Spare bedroom. The wife took over the office, and COVID's some crazy times. So a lot of my work is done at my house now, and then, I go in the office as well. But, yeah, I created kind of this little studio upstairs of my house with a green screen. And
That's right.
do a lot of my podcasting videos right here.
Well, I know you've got 3 football players in the making, probably downstairs, maybe napping a little bit. So we won't keep you this long, very long today. But guys, a little bit more about Chris. Chris went to Maryland, then he went to Arizona, where he's a multi-sport player. Graduated after playing after playing at Arizona, went undrafted, signed as a free agent. Tell me if I got any of this wrong. Started off with the Cowboys. Cowboys, let's see, gosh, I knew I wouldn't remember. Colts, Browns, and then Chargers after 4 NFL.
Broncos, yeah. One of my brothers made it to the Browns, my brother Dan, but
I don't know why I said Browns. I knew it was the Broncos.
you got me mixed up.
But Chris, I played through college. Guys get hurt in football. It doesn't matter the level of the game. That's just part of it. But what folks don't know is once they get into the professional ranks, there's a lot of things from behind the scenes that people don't know how all of that works. And that's kind of what I want to talk about a little bit today. We've seen every year this happens, including your brother Rob a couple of times, but Dak Prescott, season-ending injury. Drew Brees may be out for an extended period of time. Joey Bosa, Sam Darnold, I could go on and on and on. It's just part of the sport. But Chris, and I know that you had some injuries as in your career, but I want to start as a broad stroke picture here is when you get hurt as an NFL player, we might see it on a Sunday. We're not going to see it on practice. We're not going to see it in the offseason. So right for now, I want to talk about the in-season active roster player who gets hurt in the game. So my first question to you is, who's treating you? Who is actually administering medical care for folks who are on that active roster and get hurt during the season?
Yeah, so you have the full training staff that's there. If you get hurt and it's an injury that requires an MRI, they're going to immediately send you off to the partner hospital or imaging center that they're with. So anything that's a serious injury, they are going to send you off to get further checked. But yeah, it's the day-to-day is going to be your training staff. So you're going to be in there before practice. You're going to be in there after practice as well, if you're still able to practice, that is. If not, you're going to be first off having, surgery at, a preferred medical center. And you can go anywhere you want as well. So you can go, I had pec surgery. I flew to Florida with Dr. Andrews, and I had my pec surgery done in Pensacola. At his facility, and he takes care of a lot of NFL players. So you actually get to choose what doctor you want to use. You don't have to use a team doctor for surgery, and they're going to cover it, of course, as well. So after that, your day-to-day and your rehab is going to be with your training staff.
Well, Chris, we certainly know Dr. Andrews well. I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, and his founding clinic is just about 3 miles from here. And I, too, had surgery with Dr. Andrews back in high school. I had calcium deposits taken out of my elbow. But anyway, Chris, if you go and have this surgery and you're under the care of the team physicians and staff, what happens to those medical bills? Are you the player going to be given those bills? Are you responsible for those?
So in the NFL, you are not responsible for them. Something actually that happens in college is, a lot of times the school is responsible for it, but they don't pay them. So a lot of guys leave college with these horrible credit scores and debt collectors after them because the school never pays it. So that's super frustrating. But the NFL does a good job. They're going to take care of it. That they understand their responsibility to take care of you as a player, and they know that they take that on when they sign you. So what they do is they do the most extensive medical check you'll ever see before they sign you. If you get traded and you go to another team, that team as well is going to do the same thing. They're going to look over you. They're going to make sure everything's perfect. And there's actually times when guys get traded and they get sent back to a team because they don't pass the physical. But yeah, they're going to pick up the bill. They're going to pick up the rehab, all that, and they're going to allow you to do it really anywhere you want as well if you want to. The one thing people don't see though is that you can also get your salary cut by a significant amount if you get hurt. So I didn't realize that. My second year, I went to the Colts. I tore my pec on a kickoff coverage. I was tackled Darren Sproles on the 15-yard line. Went to do, the fist pump and just wasn't really feeling right. So completely tore my pec and had to have surgery on it, get it repaired. And what I didn't realize was that I lost 40% of my paycheck for the rest of the year because of that reason.
Yeah, I don't think that the average fan out there realizes that these injuries that mere mortals, average humans, us out in the real world may not necessarily suffer similar situations, but there are a lot of similarities, and it depends on what state that the contract is entered into with the athlete. For example, when you had your injury that you were just with the pec muscle, that was with which you were with the Colts at the
It's in the
time?
Colts.
And Indiana law for this particular situation should have been the ruling state for jurisdiction purposes. And now I'm kind of lawyer nerding out here, but this is part of what we're talking about. And each state has its own set of work comp laws. If this was in Alabama, you would get paid up to a maximum amount of money set by law, or 2/3, 66 and 2/3 of the average weekly wages. Now, the typical NFL player is going to max way out, so they're going to take a huge pay cut during that time period. And we're talking now, there is a big difference, and we'll get to the other part, the non-roster or the non-active roster, the practice player in a minute. But we're talking about you getting hurt while you're on the active roster and you got hurt in a game. Now, during that time, Chris, were you taken off of the active roster and moved to a different category like injured reserve, or how did they treat you during that time period?
Absolutely. So I was put on IR, so injured reserve. And I guess it was the 66 and 2/3 that I got. It wasn't 40%. I guess I was a little off on that. It felt like 40.
Well,
But
every state's a little bit different, but that was just giving Alabama as the example.
okay, I think it might have been that. It might be similar in Indiana. It also, I think there was a factor in there as well that it was a away game as well. So we actually were at the Saints. We were playing at the Saints. So I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember if that did play in or not, but I think it did play in because I actually got hurt in a different state as well.
Chris, you brought up a very good point. And what I should have said is, had your injury been at home, definitely Indiana law would have applied. However, many states have concurrent jurisdiction for work comp purposes. And so there may be a choice of law, meaning if Louisiana is better for Chris and his injuries by way of recovery, that might have taken precedent over Indiana. However, there are some situations where you can have concurrent jurisdiction where both states can apply, where you may be able to get recovery in both states. And it's a state by state analysis. Now, Chris, when you finished your rehab, your recovery from that, were you still part of the Colts, or at that point had the Colts parted ways with you?
I was still a part of the team.
And take us kind of through that process. How long from when you got hurt in the game until you were back and eligible to play again?
So this recovery was about 6 months, 6-month recovery for you to come back from a pec injury after surgery. So I was out rehabbing for about 6 months. I was able to get back on the field. Pretty much full recovery. I mean, you're going to have defects in the muscle, and you could visually see it, and it's going to bother you, and you're not supposed to bench again. All the way down for pretty much the rest of your life. So I was able to come back from it though, and perform my job at the level that I needed to, and I was back out on the field, and then actually got traded during the off season. Bruce Arians came in, and he's now with Tampa Bay, but Bruce Arians does not believe in a fullback. So the second he came in, I went from starting on the offense and every special teams to all of a sudden standing on the sideline one day, and halfway through the day, I got a tap on the shoulder, and I was told I was going to Denver. So it's game on.
Such is the life in the NFL. And I want to welcome, we've got some other lawyers who are here with us. I got my buddy Mitch Jackson in Southern California. Hey, Mitch, good to see you. He is also an Arizona alum and fan.
Oh, yeah.
So you bear down. Brian Blackwell down in my hometown in South Alabama in Dothan. Good to see you guys for both spending some time with Chris Gronkowski and me. And we're talking about NFL players and work comp, what happens kind of behind the scenes. Now, Chris, take us back. You have your surgery, and then you're going through your post-surgery rehab and all of that. Where does that take place? Where do you do your rehab?
So I was doing my rehab at the Colts facility. The first week, I think it was actually at the, in Pensacola, at that facility, and then they released me, and I went back. Now, you do have the option to pretty much, I think you can do it anywhere you want. It's actually your option as a player. They obviously prefer that you do it at the facility of the team that you're on, but you do have the option to really rehab anywhere that you want to, and they will cover that cost.
And one of the things that you may or may not have gotten involved in any part of this, but depending on the contract that the workers' comp insurance carrier has with the team, with the franchise, there will be some type of a contractual arrangement where the team can be reimbursed by the insurance carrier for the bills that they paid for your medical care during that time period. And I know that, again, it's a lot of lawyer stuff in here, and we're going to keep it high and dry and not get too deep in those woods. But Chris, when you were finally given your release back, did you have to, when you were finished rehabbing your pec injury, did you have to go back and get another clearance or physical in order to be cleared to go back to playing in the NFL?
Oh, that's a good question. I can't 100% remember that off the top of my head, but I'm sure I had to, or I had to at least I probably had to at least pass a physical, but I can't recall.
Well, I know you had mentioned a few minutes ago that for any franchise to bring you on to one of their rosters, you've got to pass a physical. And I know that you then went on to the Broncos. So I was just assuming that maybe you had a physical either exiting the Colts or entering the Broncos.
Entering the Broncos for sure, and that was extremely thorough. They checked every injury I've ever had, a lot of MRIs, and then they do a really good job of also checking your heart as well, EKGs, but also sonograms as well. So that was the first time I actually saw my heartbeat on a screen and watch all the valves close and stuff like that. So I remember the Broncos doing a really thorough job of giving me a physical.
Very good. Well, Chris, we got a question or two here from you. You may or may not have this, but if you do, let us know from your experience in the NFL. Is there one particular position that you have seen that has more injuries, more prone to injuries than any of the other positions?
Yeah. I mean, I think so. And I think it's a running back. And I think the reason is, those guys are getting hit on average 3 to 4 times every time they touch the ball. If you're a good running back, you make the first guy miss. The second guy comes in and, he's probably going to hit you when you're off balance because the first guy you just got around. And then the third guy is going to come in and just clean you out every single time. And then, the fourth guy is going to just jump on you for fun. So I think the running back position is it's pretty brutal, and those guys get pretty beat up, and the life expectancy isn't that long. So I'd probably say a running back is a position that probably gets hurt the most.
What would it have been like if you'd have been in the same backfield for the guy the size of, say, Derrick Henry? Did you have anybody that big? Has there been anybody that big in the last 20 years to be in the backfield?
What was Brandon Jacobs from the Giants is pretty big. And but there's not many. I blocked for Marion Barber, who's pretty big, but it's so rare to see somebody that big and that athletic, and especially that speed, man. That speed's insane. So
there's not that many linebackers who can run 90 yards multiple times in a career in a play. But Chris, getting back to work comp, you let's stay with the pectoral muscle injury that you had. When the doctors were finishing with you, as a side note, if I'm in the real world and I run a forklift and I have your injury, I'm going to go through the work comp system. The doctor's going to tell me that I've reached maximum improvement. That's a doctor's way of saying I can't get any better. I may not be a whole man anymore, but I'm as good as I'm going to get medically. And then they're going to figure out if I have any return to work limitations. They're going to figure out if I have any permanent physical impairment. And that's leading me to this question. You don't want to have any limitations because you want to go on and play with your whatever a franchise is going to have need your services. Are those types of questions ever talked about with your doctors when you're leaving, when you're finishing your medical care? Are they going to say, all right, I'm going to clear you, but you really have got these issues you need to be fully aware of? Does that ever come into those conversations?
Yeah, it definitely has. I know that I was never supposed to do a full bench, ever again. I was told I have to have a cushion on my chest. If I wanted to bench, I couldn't come all the way down. I couldn't do stuff like pec flies, and definitely had limitations on the lifting aspect of the job. But other than that, football wise, I was clear to do to play into playing games. So that was kind of what I was told, and it was at that point it was my choice to do those things or not to do them.
The bumps and bruises come with any ball player, any sport, particularly football, maybe hockey, etc. And I'm going to have to assume, because obviously I didn't play on the professional level, so I need your input here. You've got to take the mentality, I assume, that you're Superman. You're Superman all the time because you're doing as maximum as you can ability wise. But here's my question. After you get hurt and you've been wounded and you come back from that, how do you put that aside? How do you get back to that Superman mentality, or do you?
When you're young, you do. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, what happens when you get hurt is, you just miss the team. You feel like you let everyone down. So I think it's also a big mental game as well as physical. So at that point, you're just so determined to get back out there and help your team. And I think you're more aware of that injury, and you find ways to play a little smarter, a little bit different. But I don't think you're ever necessarily the same. You finally got hurt, and in a big way. So you're still young though, and for me, when I was playing, I was a whole new person. I was a whole, I guess, not new person. I was just a different person at that point, and my mentality was, I'm going to do whatever I'd have to do to stay on the field. I could never go back and do what I did then. I could never take those hits. Once I left, it was over for me. But in that time and in that mindset that I was in, that's how you feel. You feel like Superman, and nothing's going to take it away from you. So you're going to push through it. You're going to go all out. You're going to endure the pain, and you're going to do whatever it takes to get back on that field.
Well, it's also by this point when you're headed to the Broncos, you're in your third year. You're now a veteran. You're not a wide-eyed, undrafted or free agent coming out of Arizona. You've learned a lot, that's for sure. And I do want to side note for just a minute or two. This isn't about the rest of the Gronkowski brothers, but you guys were in the NFL at the same time. There were, three of you at the same time?
Yep, three brothers, yep.
Because I know that there were two on the Patriots one of the years that they won the title. But my question to you is, I guess this more is a brother to brother. I have two brothers. All three of us played high school ball. Two of us played in college. Unfortunately, we didn't get to play at the same time or on the same teams. And I've heard you say in other podcasts or in other social media that that's such a driving internal force for you to be the best you can because of your brother's influences. Rob's been hurt a bunch. He's also played many years. Talk to us, if you will, if you want to talk about this a little bit, about the interaction between the brothers, about encouragement and getting back out there and trying to get back to that Superman mentality amongst yourselves.
Yeah, that's really what you lean on when you get hurt, or you have a bad day or whatever it is, you lean on your family and your good friends at those moments in your life. So I think that's been a big part for us as well. Everyone gets hurt, and it's the most frustrating thing in the world. So you have to have those people that you trust to be around and really to lean on for support at those times. So that's when we reach out and talk the most, is during those times. And when I was playing, it was kind of funny because we'd all jump on and a headset like this, and we played video games together at night, and we kind of talk through everything that was going on the field and at our teams and stuff like that. And it was a good way for us to kind of just get get it off our chest, or really interact with each other as well. So that's what we used to do back in the day. Now it's texts and phone calls and stuff like that. But at tough times, you have to have a good support system, and I think that's what we have, and it's really helped all of us in everything that we do, not just sports, but business wise afterwards as well.
Well, and I do want to get to the ice shaker in just a few minutes, that business that you just so beautifully have developed over the last decade. But we've all heard, those of us who are NFL fans, next man up, those coveted 53 positions, they don't come around to just anyone. That's why they're all the testing and everything that goes forward with this. But I want to take it off of the active roster. I want to now talk for a few minutes, Chris, about the practice squad, which I think used to be called the taxi squad. Let's say you're on the practice roster and you get hurt in a practice that no one ever sees except for the team and who's there. I know you had a second injury, and we'll get to that in just a minute, but I want you to just take us into the mindset, what you observed about the practice squad injuries and how different it is from the active roster.
Yeah, so I mean, I never was on practice squad, and they changed the rules after I played. But once I played my first year, I was ineligible at that point. So you could stick a lot longer now with the new rules, and we've seen some of the oldest practice squad players ever now. But when you're on practice squad, it's pretty simple. If you get hurt, they're gonna release you with the injury settlement. It's pretty much what it comes down to. You're not a super valuable player for them. They don't care if you get picked up by other teams at that point, and you're damaged goods. So they're going to do the quickest, easiest thing that they can. They're going to pay you out based on your salary, based on how long they think you're going to be hurt for and how long it's going to take to recover, and they're going to bring someone else in. So that's pretty much how the practice squad rolls.
Yeah, and there is the best way I can equate it for those who aren't really that familiar is, on the college level, on the high school level, you have what's called the scout team. The scout team is who prepares the first team offense and defense for the next game. And I guess it's not a great analogy. Would that be as close as you could call what the taxi squad or now the practice squad is utilized for?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, same thing. You only have 53 guys on the roster, and now I think it's 10 practice squad guys. So yeah, I mean, you have 53, you have punters, kickers, all that as well. So you don't have enough guys necessarily to, practice against, especially if they're really talented guys. They're not going to go play defense for you as well. So these 10 extra guys are going to come in and they're going to fill that role for you. And then, someone like me who played fullback, I was also, I was switching up and I was playing linebacker as well for them as well on practice, for the dummy squad or whatever they wanted to call it. So some guys some starters will do both, and then the other 10 guys are going to come in and fill that role. So they might be a wide receiver, but they're also playing safety as well, when the offense is out there.
Sure, they want to do anything they can to stick around and hopefully catch somebody's eye, whether it's on the current franchise or maybe another team that is looking to fill a position. And guys, I'm talking with Chris Gronkowski, a 4-year veteran in the NFL. He's since retired, but he's very active with all social media, including TikTok. And if y'all don't follow him, if you're not on TikTok, there's one reason to get on TikTok, and it's not watching these kids dance and do all that goofy stuff. Follow Chris and just learn more about the day-to-day. I didn't know how roommates worked in the NFL on the road. I didn't know how a typical practice day or an off-season day, and that's the kind of awesome stuff that led me to find Chris and get in touch with him. Chris, I want to talk, and we've just got a few more minutes, and I really appreciate your time today. I want to talk about if you've had any experience with the NFLPA, with the Players Association. There's a collective bargaining agreement that really is negotiated between management and all the players and their representatives. And it's those documents, those hotly debated, and that's why there's work stoppages a lot of times, but it's those documents that help create the rights and the remedies for the players. Have you had any involvement in your time? Were you part of any of those negotiations or have any dealings with them?
I was not part of any of the CBA, agreements or anything like that. But you have a player rep that is. They'll come in, they'll ask questions. It's someone on your team. That's they're going to ask these questions if they think they need to, and they'll come in and ask them and kind of get a consensus from the team on what they think. But yeah, overall, I think the NFL's NFLPA they've done a good job. When I left, there was a lot of resources and a lot of programs available for me once I left the NFL. So I did take advantage of a lot of them. I went back to school at Harvard. So I got a cool 1 week degree from Harvard that I can hang on my wall. I took advantage of some of their training programs where you're actually able to train for 18 months for free with the professional trainers, and did that as well. They have back to school programs, and they have all kinds of just meet and greets as well. Get back and meet with your chapter and go play top golf and just get back into it with the guys. And there's just so many programs set up now to really help players after football transition over. So done a pretty good job with it.
Unfortunately, a lot of what you're describing was not around in the prior generations before you, or nothing like it is now. There's so many programs, and that's what led me to talk about. There's litigation that's been ongoing, for those of you who don't know, that deal with concussions, with CTE and the like. And we're getting back to being injured on the job, Chris. I don't know if you had any of this experience. You probably saw a lot of your teammates that may have getting your bell rung is not even the term anymore. It's concussion, and you go straight into the protocol because there's so much that's known now, good or bad. There's so many tragic stories out there. But Chris, did you ever have to deal with concussion protocol? Did you ever miss any time as a result?
So when I was playing, it really wasn't created yet, the concussion protocol that there is now. So if I took a big hit, I would shake it off and I'd probably be in the next play. So that they've done a really good job with that now. And when a guy has got lit up and he can hardly walk, and all of a sudden 2 plays later he's back in the game. So that no longer happens. The second they see that now, they pull them, and they're taking care of guys. The technology with the helmets and the equipment, and also the training behind how to actually tackle a guy correctly has all improved greatly. So I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't have concussions. I probably had a lot based on what the definition is. It's probably pretty much every play at the fullback position. I mean, I could tell you that during camp, as I walked on the field before practice, it was just a heartbeat in my head that I would feel. So, that was from high school on all the way through the NFL every year. And, it would take a couple of days to kind of get used to, hitting. And then, you wouldn't get that anymore. But every camp, it was the same thing. You would hit until, you're whatever that you call that in your head, heartbeat. As you took a step, it would hurt a little bit, but that was just normal. And like you said before, you're Superman at that time, so you think nothing of it. All you think about is being, the beast on the field that's going to light up every guy. So you do what you have to make the team, and hopefully there's no long-term effects of it. I can't say either way if it's affected me. So I think time will tell with that, and hopefully it doesn't.
Well, hopefully you're doing whatever you need to be doing to keep yourself fit and healthy. And we certainly see that with the workouts and all the other things that you're doing. As we're getting closer to the end of our conversation, I do want to go to the time period with your last team when you did end up getting hurt with your ankle. If you would just share a little bit about that experience and what transpired.
Yeah, so I was in practice and just a normal practice and ran a play, and let's see. So the D tackle decided to throw Ronnie Brown on the ground, and he fell on the back of my ankle. So ended up rolling my ankle, high ankle sprain. I was out, and then at that point, it's you become damaged goods for the most part, is what it is. And so instead of waiting for me to become healthy again and keeping me on the team, they released me with the injury settlement. At that time, they told me 3 weeks. So I got 3 weeks of salary, which put me into a fourth year. fourth credited season. At that time, I said, man, a fourth credited season is awesome. It goes towards my pension. It goes towards everything, the health benefits, annuities. It's a great bonus onto any NFL career. So I signed that, and it ended up taking me probably more like 3 months to recover from it. It was a lot worse than they claimed it was. And I had to sit there rehab. They paid for all the rehab, but it took me a lot longer than I thought to get back. Once I was healthy, continued to train, and then went down to a tryout in Miami and ran a 40-yard dash, and I completely ruptured my hamstring. So at that point, it was either have surgery and get it repaired or just move on. So I had a lot of other things going on with business, and I moved on at that point. So it wasn't actually a tryout with the Dolphins. It was I can't remember what they call it at this time, but it was a tryout to kind of get back in the league kind of deal. So it wasn't something that they covered. So that was on my own insurance.
Well, I was going to ask you the difference between the two injuries. The first one with the ankle, the Chargers took care of all of your medical related expenses, but
Correct.
this other one, you were a free agent at that point, and so that was on your own. Now, did you have health insurance at that point? Because, and the reason why I asked that, I don't know if you were married at the time and maybe a spouse had insurance, or share a little bit about that, because what people don't realize is once you're a free agent and you get hurt in an event like this, the dollar for dollar, that's coming on the injured worker. That's
Yep.
not going to, I mean, the injured player. There is no employment at that point.
Correct. Yeah. So I was covered. I was covered. I had insurance because I got the third credited season and I became vested. So at that point, you then are covered for 5 years after you're done playing. If you don't make it to 3 years, you have nothing. So because I got to that third year, the NFL then pays for my insurance for the next 5 years, which just I think it expired last year. And then after that, they give you a $25,000 credit per year that you played, per credited season that you played, towards any healthcare after that. So I walked away with the 5 years insurance plus $100,000 towards health benefits afterwards. I could pay for insurance or could pay for surgery or whatever health-wise concerns that you had, it would cover. So that's where I'm at now, and I use that money to pay for my health insurance right now.
And what about, we haven't really talked about this part, Chris, but does the NFL offer any type of disability policies that are independent of work comp? For example, if your injury from your hamstring and your ankle were so severe, it forced you to retire, and the doctors gave you, I'm going to call it a medical retirement. Does the NFL offer disability policies that you could have applied for?
Yes, they do. I know teammates and friends that have taken them, and I know a brother that will probably apply for it as well, or at least qualify for it. But yeah, if you're I know it's a formula and it's a certain percentage of your body is considered disabled. You would get the payment. I believe it's 7.5 years, and I don't know the exact payout, but yeah, there's definitely programs in place to help a guy out who is forced into retirement.
Well, Chris, I sure appreciate you sharing some insider knowledge and your personal experience about something that not a lot of people know about when somebody who is an NFL player, whether active roster or on the practice squad, which used to be called taxi squad, if they get hurt, they're treated very differently. And thank you for sharing those things. But before I let you get out of here, I want to talk about two last things. I want you to talk to us about Ice Shaker, and I want you to share your social media, because I want folks to find you if they hadn't. And a lot of people have found this guy, and you really talk to us about
It's
Ice
been
Shaker.
fun. Yeah, absolutely. Ice Shaker it's a kitchen grade insulated shaker bottle. It's going to keep your drink hot or cold, and has the ability to shake up your protein. And really just started because I wanted one cup that I could use all day, every day, not just at the gym, but also at work or on the airplane or by the pool. And, I was just sick of having 5 or 6 different cups in the sink at the end of the day. So something I was just super passionate about. Started as a side hustle, and was able to get on ABC Shark Tank, ended up getting offers from all 5 sharks, and closed the deal with Mark Cuban, Alex Rodriguez. And it just took off from there. We're now going into our 5th year with it. We're national with Vitamin Shop, GNC, Lifetime Fitness. We're in grocery stores now. We have a cool special coming out in January on QVC. So it's just been awesome. And every day I learn something new. You know,
Absolutely.
it doesn't come easy. I'm
Well,
sure
guys,
you know anything in business is very tough to start ground up, and it's been a grind, and it's a challenge. And I love it because that's what drives me. So that's iShaker, iShaker.com. We're everywhere. You check that out. And then my social media is at Chris Gronkowski. And like you were saying, TikTok's been a lot of fun, a lot of just insider information. I'm breaking out my actual playbooks from the Cowboys. I was breaking out workout sheets from the Chargers, and this is all actual stuff that we used when I was on the team. Now, it's all on iPad, so no one has the sheets of paper anymore, and no one has any of the information anymore. But I snuck away with some of it, and I still have it. And I even broke out my fine letter the other day from a late hit with the Broncos, and I got fined, I think, $87.50 for it. And I was reading the letter off on TikTok the other day. And
was it worth it? Was it worth the hit?
It's worth the story, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it was before the whistle, and I was always told, play to the whistle. And I found out really quickly that the NFL has a rule that says unnecessary roughness before or after the whistle, may result in a fine. So, that rule is on that letter, and I know all about that rule now. So,
well, I got to ask, did your parents, with 5 brothers in the house, did they institute a fine for unnecessary roughness of whatever y'all were doing at the time?
No, they encouraged it. If you had an issue, it was take it outside, and that's kind of how we were brought up. So they knew that there was rules to that. I mean, no punching the face, and nothing below the belt. But other than that, it was take it outside, and you guys could fight all day and get the energy out. And once you guys settle your problem, come back inside and see us. So my dad even used to have a game. We called it Zoom Zoom, but we put pillows inside of our shirt, and then we just run full speed at each other, and whoever took the other person down, and then you kind of like sumo wrestle basically, and you jump on top of them and pin them at the end. But
all right, I gotta say, Gordy, the oldest, he played baseball. He stood no chance.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he didn't. It was funny because he was really small in high school, and then he got to college and he grew and he put on all this weight, and he then wished he played football, but in high school he was not built to be a football player.
Well, guys, if you don't know about the Gronkowski genes, their dad played at Syracuse, 3-year starter. Their grandfather was in the 24 Olympics in Paris. Go read up about him. And Chris, I want to thank you again for spending some time with us today. I've had a lot of fun learning a lot. I put the link to the iShaker website in the show notes. And thank you very much for spending some time with us.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, you guys be safe out there. We're not done with the pandemic. And I say this on all my live, even if you don't like wearing a mask for yourself, please wear it for your fellow mankind. Enjoy your Thanksgiving break, and we'll catch you guys another time. Be well.